A wonderful morning to everyone who has joined today. From the ManageEngine family, we would like to extend a warm welcome and sincere thanks to all our customers, partners, and users who are interested in our solutions. Endpoint management and security is one of the main focus areas of ManageEngine. Let me introduce myself. My name is Jeffrey Nathan, and I'm a product specialist with ManageEngine. I take care of the endpoint management products, including Desktop Central. I am a seasoned technical support engineer assisting customers in the implementation, consultation, and troubleshooting in case of any challenges. In today's webinar, we will focus on endpoint management solutions, which has different product portfolios under management and security. During today's session, we will be discussing about the Desktop Central suite, which has management and security capabilities. As you all know, the whole world is affected by COVID-19, and as an organization, we have all moved to a work from home scenario. And most of you would have already moved or would be in the process of moving to a similar setup. We do have to take individual responsibility in these tough times to ensure that we stay safe and also keep those around us safe. This can prove to be quite challenging for an IT admin who will need to remotely manage the machines. Now, usually we take an example of John having to manage 10,000 machines across his organization's different remote offices. But due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the users have all been moved to a work from home scenario, and John now has to manage his machines connecting directly over internet or using a VPN connection. John, being a smart IT guy, is making use of the Secure Gateway Server component for that added level of security. The Secure Gateway Server encrypts agent connection and also restricts access to the web console over the internet, aside from obviously not exposing the Desktop Central server to the internet. Now, yeah, before we proceed, can you please confirm if my voice is audible to all of you and if it is stable? Thank you. Could you please confirm in the chat window if my voice is audible? Thank you. Thank you for your confirmation. Yeah, as I told earlier, I've been working in a work from home setup. So in case if you experience any audio loss issues, please feel free to come under the chat and I will be on it right away. Thank you. So continuing with the training. So yeah, welcome to the Desktop Central training once again. So let's quickly talk about the agenda that we have. Now the training schedule is, this is the remote control training, and this is the week 4 of the training sequence. This is one of the modules of endpoint management and the security suite. And we have covered a couple of modules over the past weeks, and we are currently running the week 4 training. In case if you have missed any of our training schedule, you can always view them on the link shown at the bottom of the screen. If you are interested in the upcoming training, please use the same link to register yourself. Now let's have a look at the remote control module from a work from home perspective today. Now we will have an overview of Desktop Central and managing endpoints, remote management in a work from home scenario. Then we will be looking to set the expectation to the end users for a patch cycle using the announcement section of Desktop Central. Then we'll be looking at raising a help desk request from the agent machine and how to resolve it using remote control. Then we will be troubleshooting system slowness with the help of remote management tools in Desktop Central. And lastly, we'll be looking to enable IT policies to monitor endpoint productivity, to monitor end users, their login times, things like that. And then we will have a look at how this works in the background, the architecture of how Desktop Central works, And from my time as a support engineer, I've collected a list of scenarios and frequently asked questions that we'll be touching upon later on. So what is Desktop Central? Desktop Central is an endpoint management solution that ensures all your endpoints are secure and enables the users to use them effectively for business. Forrester defines UEM as follows: products that provide a centralized policy engine for managing and securing employee laptops and mobile devices from a single console. In unified endpoint management, you can manage endpoints in a traditional IT management fashion. This includes patch management, application management, configuration deployment, OS deployment, tools for troubleshooting, and day-to-day management activities. Similarly, endpoints can also be managed under modern management. All modern operating systems support modern management. It supports features like geo-tracking, geofencing, managing Windows Store applications, profile distributions to enforce restrictions, operating system reset and recovery. Can you guess a popular operating system when I say modern operating system? You guessed Windows 10. Yes, you're right. Windows 10 is a classic example in which you can manage both traditional and modern management. Desktop Central can manage both the worlds, that is traditional and modern, from a single console. Now, these are the features that you can leverage when you're using Desktop Central as a unified endpoint management solution. We have patch management, which takes care of operating system and third-party application patching. We have application management, software deployment, asset management, configurations. In fact, if you are following our training schedule, we will be talking about this in our next sequence. And you can manage other functions, including mobile device management for iOS, Android, Windows, and Chromebooks. Then we have modern management, which is for Windows and Mac machines. You can perform things like geo-tracking, corporate or complete wipe, enrolling the device in kiosk mode, distributing Windows Store apps, profile distribution, and finally, you have things like OS deployment, where you can create a single master image and use this to deploy across multiple machines. Now, these are the features that are offered within the Desktop Central suite. Hence, with the Desktop Central Unified Endpoint Management, you will be able to manage desktops, laptops, mobile phones, tablets, servers, point-of-sale devices, and even browsers. All this from a single console. Desktop Central is recognized for Best Unified Endpoint Management Tool of 2019 as reviewed by customers in the Gartner Peer Insight Customer's Choice Award. We are recognized for Unified Endpoint Management in the Magic Quadrant for the second consecutive year. We are recognized for both traditional and modern management. So what are the components that you need to run this application? There are essential as well as optional components. The Desktop Central Server is the central component that you will install. This provides the interface to the management console. The agent is also an essential component. You need this to be installed in the target machines that you would like to manage in your environment. There's another component called the notification server, and this is an interesting component. We'll be talking about this in detail once we get into the product. And when we look at the optional components, we have a distribution server, which serves as a repository for patches, software applications, scripts that you have deployed to machines in a remote office. You can create unique replication policies for each location as per the bandwidth requirement. Then we have the secure gateway server. This is useful if you are going to manage machines that are not part of the LAN or will be connecting over the internet. You also have the failover server. So in case if you want to have high availability, you can make use of this. And you can also use a language pack to list the web console in your preferred language. We support 3 operating systems for now: Windows, Mac, and Linux. You can find the list of supported operating systems on the screen. The application server runs on the Windows platform, but you can manage endpoints with Windows, Mac, or Linux operating systems. In case if you have any questions, you can always reach out to support, or you can also feel free to chat to us, one of our technicians, and they will be assisting you further. Now, this is a client server model which means that you need to have the agent installed in all of the endpoints in order to manage them. So to facilitate agent installation, we have three methods. Number one is via group policy or Active Directory. So you can simply download the application and push it using a GPO script. We also have automatic agent installation that is pushed right from the web console. So you can add multiple domains or work groups, choose the specific machines, and you can push out the agent to them. We also have a script-based deployment. So you can download the files and use the script to remotely install the agent. We will be talking about agent installation in greater detail. And if you're interested in our upcoming trainings, please do subscribe to the upcoming trainings. Now, since John uses a secure gateway server, machines that connect directly over the internet will be communicating via the secure gateway server. And machines that connect using VPN will be directly communicating with the desktop central server. And remote control will work on either mode of connection, so there will be no loss in any mode. Now, how does Desktop Central operate effectively from a remote management standpoint, and how would you be able to use its tools effectively with respect to a work from home scenario? The first thing is, if you have a help desk team or if you're part of IT, you will require this to resolve your help desk tickets, day-to-day tickets that come for probably installation of applications or to troubleshoot and resolve system-related issues. So in order to manage or remote management, you need a tool like Desktop Central, which will facilitate remote management. And of course, if you would like to enforce or maintain IT policies, something like power management scheme or a disk cleanup, or you want to set a reboot cycle, if you have IT policies that have to be adhered to, then a tool like Desktop Central comes in handy to ensure that the policies are enforced. Then if you want to communicate with the end user as part of the help desk team, it is required to communicate with the user about the progress of a ticket, or if you need any help like a remote session, or to ask permission from the user before getting on a remote session, you will need to communicate with them by means of chat or video call. You will definitely need a tool like Desktop Central in order to take care of this. This is why a solution like Desktop Central is essential for enterprises to take care of all your remote management needs. And all the scenarios that we discussed today are designed in such a way that we can go through each step of remote control to understand the different aspects, and probably it will give you a better idea about how you can better utilize the product. Now, patching machines is one of the most widespread use function of Desktop Central. And in a remote or a work from home situation, the patches will have to be deployed over the internet. So in the first scenario, we look at how Desktop Central helps with getting an expectation and notifying the end users about impending patch updates using announcements. So let's say you have a patching schedule to take place every third Saturday. When working from the office, the IT team have control over the network bandwidth, but in a work from home scenario, there would be varying bandwidth based on the user's internet connection. So you want to create an announcement to notify the end users about this, so they can save their work and then continue once the machine has been patched and rebooted. Practically, if you want to create an announcement for the end user, you can do that. So let's dive into the product now. Now, this is the Desktop Central web page. So in case you have not seen this, this is the Desktop Central suite with the various options like configurations, patch management, software deployment, asset management or inventory, OS deployment, mobile device management, and of course, tools that we'll be having a look at today. So to create an announcement, I go to Tools, and I go to Announcement over here. So I've already created an announcement. I will modify this and show how this looks. So you provide the announcement title, and I enter my message here. This is to notify the end users about the patch cycle on the third week, Saturday of every third week. And I then set the start time, which is today. And this has to be displayed to the end user every 2 weeks. So that is frequency of multiple times, and displayed every 14 days up to the last Friday of June, that is 29/6. So once you have done this, you can then define the target and proceed to deploy the configuration. So you can select the target over here based on remote offices, or if you want to use it as custom group or based on domain, or even to a specific user, you can go ahead and use this option over here. So once this is done, the end user would be getting a notification that is similar to this screen. Now, at present, the pop-up would be shown to the end user, and Desktop Central agent will be reporting back to the server if the message was successfully displayed or if it failed. But an option to get a confirmation from a user is currently not possible. This is currently a work in progress. My team are working hard at releasing this in the near future. But as of now, you can pretty much roll out any announcement to the end users. So you can make announcement with respect to patch cycles, or let's say a network issue, or pretty much any information for that matter. Now, the next scenario that we will be looking at is when the end user, in this case Bob, raises a help desk request. In this case, we are using a help desk tool called Service Desk Plus, which is ManageEngine's own ITSM solution. So Bob has raised the help desk request that he needs to have an Adobe application installed, and he also needs help with troubleshooting an issue with the display adapters. So if you have tickets like this, I'm sure you will have day-to-day tickets like this that come into your help desk. How would you resolve this? Because end users might not be able to reach the IT help desk directly over call in these times. And in this case, Desktop Central gives the users the option to create a help desk request right away from the agent tray icon. Let's go back to the web console to see how this works. So the first step would be to enable help desk requests. To go to admin and help desk settings. So you will have to enable help desk settings in this page. And once that is done, any help desk requests that are raised will be sent to the specified email ID by default. And if you have integrated Service Desk Plus with Desktop Central, then you would also have the option to raise this help desk request and get it flagged as a request straight away within Service Desk Plus. So once this is set up and saved, you can create a help desk request from the agent tray icon using this option. So this would be what the end user views, and they can attach files like images, and they can have the same image view. So now let's go to tools and remote control to see how John would be troubleshooting this. So you go to remote control, and this is the computers view. So this lists all the computers that are managed in your network. If it has an agent, if the agent has a green icon next to its name, that would mean that the agent is live and is able to communicate with the server. And if it is red, that would mean that the agent is not able to communicate with the server or the machine is shut down. You also have history tab that lists all previous remote control sessions. You also have the option to download the videos here if you have enabled the settings. You have the settings tab to configure remote control based on your requirements, to blacken the monitor and things like that. Then you can enable screen recording over here. You can set up performance. So based on remote offices or based on bandwidth constraints, you can configure performance settings. And finally, you have user confirmation. So we'll be touching all these tabs once we complete remote control. So let's go to the remote control session now. I click on connect and I'm asked for a reason. So let's say troubleshooting. And once I initiate a session, this is how the remote control window would look. Oops, it's taking long. Yeah, it loads now. Okay, so this is how the window would look once you are in the remote session. So on the left side, you have options to set the display to the full screen. And in case if the end user is using a different resolution, you would have the option to modify it here as well. If the user has multiple monitors, there would be an additional option listed in the left side pane. You can use that to select a different monitor. In my case, I'm using a single monitor setup, so it is not listed over here. Then you have the actions tab. So let's say you want to log into a computer, or you have to log off and log in after a software installation. You can send in a Control-Alt-Delete command right from this menu, and you can use this to log into the computer. It also gives you the option to switch between different windows. And let's say you want to install an application and you are required to enter credentials. And this is sensitive information that the end user should not be viewing. In that case, you can use the black and monitor option, And what it does is that it renders the screen black, and the end user would not be able to see anything on their screen. So once you are done entering the credentials or any other sensitive information, you can undo the settings and it would resume as normal to the end user. And let's say the end user is being fidgety and there are being multiple inputs, one from your side and one from their side. To disable the input from their side, you can use the disable input option. So only you would be able to send key commands or mouse, and the end user's input would be frozen. Then you can also connect using a view only mode. So you do not have control over the remote control session. You will be directing the end user and they will be performing the steps for you. And finally, in case you run into any issues that you want to report, you can take a screenshot of, and this will be saved directly in your machine. Then you have the quick launch menu. So if you want to open a command prompt or control panel, so you can do that right from here. So this has the same effect as going in and opening it manually from the respective machine. And then we have power options, which is interesting because let's say after the software installation, the machine needs a reboot. So if you go ahead and reboot, you do not have to worry about reconnecting to a session because Desktop Central will automatically rejoin you to the same session. You just have to make sure that you do not close the browser window and you should be good. The same goes for shutdown or log off as well. So the session is always live, and once the agent is back up, it will connect to the same session. Then you have admin tasks like cleaning up this kind of settings. We will be talking about this in detail in the next scenario. So I'll skip ahead to file transfer. So we talked about John having to install an application. So let's say he wants to copy the file from one of his share folders over to the target machine's drive. So you can go ahead and do it right from here. Oops, sorry about that. Oops. Yeah. So you can select the specific folder or specific file, and you can have it moved to the respective machine. So it will be copied to the exact drive that you have selected over here. So let's close this now. And finally, you have chat options. So I talked about communicating with the end user. So in case you are connecting on a view only mode and you do not have access to the end user, you will need a tool to communicate with the end user to direct them as to what things have to be done in this respective machine. So you can use text chat or voice call based on your preference. And lastly, there are hotkeys. So when you send hotkeys from your keyboard, it will be taking place in your machine. So to take effect in the target machine send, you will need to use the hotkeys functionality. Now we have seen about remote control from one user's perspective. So let's say you want to engage another user to help troubleshoot you with this. That is also possible with Desktop Central. So I'll close this session now. So once the new user logs in, so let me just check if this setup of mine has that option. Yep. So I'll just log in as a different user now. Please give me a minute. So this would be the screen that they view. Okay, let's start the connection over here. So this is the first connection, and here's the pop-up. Oops, looks like there's been an issue, but yeah, I'll show what it appears like. So you can see the connecting option, and once the session is established, the second user would be having a connect option over here with a green icon, indicating that the session is already live, and they would have the option to join the ongoing session. So they can use that option to join a session, and they would also be able to join the session as a view only mode. So you will have to pass the control to them for them to be able to control the session. Let's retry this once. Okay, what's now? That's good. Yeah. So you'll have the view desktop option. So once you click this, you'll be joining as a second user. So once the user passes control, user one passes control, the newly joined user would be able to take control of the machine. So this is with respect to remote control. Now let's have a look at the different tabs like history and settings and what they do now. It's disconnected now. So over here, you can see the session history over here. This lists all the users and the respective machine and the duration of the respective session. So if you have enabled video recording, the video would be available over here. And you can hover above the download link and it would list the storage path where the video is stored locally in the desktop. This stores as modded. Then you have the settings menu. So over here, you can select the viewer type. HTML5 is a more modern version, but if you want to stick to ActiveX, you can do that from here. And you can notify the end users about remote connection. So if you want to shadow users or just view only mode, you can disable this option. And then you have enable quick launch. So you can also disable the wallpapers of the end machine. So you would be seeing a blank screen in place of the wallpaper. You can also disable Windows arrow theme. So this is applicable to Windows. And you can also log the reason for remote connection. So let's say you are in help desk and you need to log the entries for each specific use case. So in this case, the reason that you enter would be logged as a help would be logged to the specific ticket ID in the help desk tool for you. Then you have enabled this option. The videos will be saved. Yes, not specific remote offices. So let's say one of my remote offices has very poor bandwidth capabilities. So in that case, I would say compression to fast and color quality to low. So we can have this set up. And then finally, you have user confirmation. So if you are concerned about the end user's privacy, you can enable user confirmation. When this is done, when you initiate a remote control session, the end user would be getting a notification asking them for a confirmation. And only when the user consents, the remote control would proceed to display the end user screen to you. You can also make this permanent. And in case you want to revert the settings, you may have to get in touch with the support team. So yeah, this is how remote control works with respect to the from console view. And you might ask, how did it work in the backend? So this is a very simple design. So the server holds the key here. There are environment to facilitate remote connection. That is port 8443 and 8027. When the moment when the technician initiates a session, I was talking previously about the notification server being an interesting component. So this is the server that keeps track of all the agents that are online and live, or this is what is responsible for all on-demand actions. We call it as an on-demand action. So whenever you trigger something from the server, let's say a configuration that you deploy immediately or the remote control session, the notification server and the ports are essential for all these kinds of tasks. So the moment when the technician initiates a remote connection, the request goes to the desktop server, and from the server through the notification server port 8027, it sends a notification to the target machine and then it initiates a remote connection. And this is over port 8443. If there are other technicians who want to join, they can view the same desktop or image frames right from the server. This is how remote connection is established and works. There will always be a common question if it installs any client on the background or if you have to download something in addition to initiate a remote session. And the answer to that question is no. Nothing additional have to be performed because the agent is there and it will be able to initiate a remote connection without having a user to install a plugin or download something. So I can initiate it directly from here. Of course, the last one is something we touched upon earlier, that is voice or video call. So this also works the same 84434 for remote control, and with respect to chats or video call or file transfer, this is done using UDP ports. So you have to ensure that this port is open in case you want to make use of the chat or file transfer functionalities. So the next scenario, the system maintenance, and system maintenance is crucial in an IT environment, even more so when moving to a work from home setup. So when moving to a work from home setup, initially it will not be the hardest part. Once the users have settled into a work from home setup, you will need to be patching the systems and help troubleshoot any issues that the users face. And one issue that gets widely reported is system slowness. So that is the third scenario that we'll be looking at. And this is going to be troubleshooting available in Desktop Central that would help you with troubleshooting system slowness. Let's imagine a scenario when a user in John's environment has reported terribly sluggish, and what are the tools in Desktop Central that John can leverage in order to troubleshoot this specific issue? So let's go back to the product now to examine this. We have an option called System Manager. So this is found under Tools. So you go to Tools and System Manager. You will be able to browse through each task and process from this page. So you click on Manage and you open Task Manager. So with respect to a system slowness issue, the first place that I would like to check would be Task Manager to check if there is unusually high amount of CPU usage or memory consumption, and if a specific process of system resources. So this lists a real-time view of all the processes that are running the target machine. So you can also go ahead and close specific applications right from this page. And you can also set up startup programs over here. So you can enable or disable them right from this page over here. So all of this is real-time and remote management. So you would not have to take control of the end user's machine. And the next step that I would like to check would be services, as to what services are present in the machine. So I go to the Services tab, all the services that are currently running in the machine. So you can go ahead and start or stop a service from here. And you can also set this. So this is also a real-time view. In fact, all the options that you view on this page are real-time, and you can make any changes to them, and it will be applied instantly. So this is with respect to services. And the next job that I would take would be Event Logs Viewer. So I go to Event Viewer. And one of the most common things that you as a technician would want to do is view the event logs when there is a report of an issue or a crash. So you can go in here and filter based on a specific period of time or a specific application or even a specific event ID as well. So you can create a filter over here, event log source, event level, you can select errors. And you can, if you have an event ID, you can go ahead and specify it over here. And once you filter, you would get the results over here. So then comes File Manager. So you will be able to browse through the File Explorer in the target machine. You can access the different disk drives from here, and you can browse through the files and even create or delete files right from this page. Sorry about that. Yeah. So checking disk space and disk cleaner is one of the other options that we also offer. So with respect to troubleshooting system slowness, you would want to check and make sure that there is adequate disk space and the disk is frequently cleaned up and defragmented. So to do this, you go to Tools and you go to System Tools. So created the task, so I'm modifying. So you will have the option to select 3 different tasks, that is check disk cleanup. So once you go to check this, you can select the specific, you can then proceed to this cleanups version 1703 and above. Windows gives you the option of using storage sense that takes care of disk cleanup. Of Windows, you have disk cleanup utility. Desktop Central supports both of this. Configure this based on your requirement. So you can select storage if that is your preference. Or let's say you want to use this cleanup utility on older machines, you want to delete log files or specific installation files, you can select them over here and you can then you can select the different volumes or different drives. You can select the operation type over here and the deployment mode. And finally, define the target, configure the scheduler settings. So in the target machine's Windows scheduler, so based on your triggers and based on your conditions, this should be applied to the target machine and executed from there. Now coming back to System Manager, you go to Tools and System Manager. So continuing, there are other options like registry. So I want to check for any malicious registry entries over here. Once again, this lists a live view. So you select the specific file, you're going over here, and you can make changes over here like adding a value or even delete a value right from this page. And as a precautionary step, if you want to make a backup of the existing registry settings, you can also export the settings right from this page. So once you export this will be stored under the previous export details, and you can download this and use this to restore this in case of and next, let's say you want it, or if you want to run a simple command line on the end machine. So this is an equivalent to Windows admin account, but you can use the run as option to run as a different user that is available in this machine. Then of course, there comes a question of privacy, how secure it is when it comes to privacy. And that is why you have an option to configure System Manager settings where you can select who you would like to have access to File Manager. So you can go to Admin, you can go to System Manager settings over here. So you can have this enabled for all users, or you can enable for admins only. So only admin users have access to File Manager or command prompt, or you can completely disable this for all users. So let's go back now. So in case if you want to check for any system related issues, so let's say a driver is malfunctioning, or if there's a printer driver issue, and you want to view the device manager instance real time, you can also do that from System Manager. You go to Tools and Device Manager over here. This lists all the hardware devices connected to the target machine, and you can go ahead and perform troubleshooting steps right from here. Then you over here. So let's say you want to brand perform an installation. You can add a member to the specific group over here, and once let's say you want to give them about 30 minutes, and after 30 minutes you want to revoke the rights. So you can go right from them and remove them from this page. And this is all completely remote. Or you also have the option to completely delete this group entirely from the target machine. Then you have users. So this lists all the user accounts present in the specific machine. So if in case you want to view this real time, you can view this right from here. And there is printers. So printers, as of now, this page is only for view only purposes. If you want to add or configure a new printer to a machine, you can do so using the configurations and printer options found under there. Then you have the option to view the file shares present in the machine. So you go here, this is all the different file shares available. You can see the currently open sessions and currently open files real time. And lastly, you have the option to view the software applications that are installed in the specific machine, and you can also uninstall them right from here. So in total, there are 3 places in Desktop Central from where you can trigger a software uninstallation. One would be software deployment, create a package and uninstall it from there. The other would be under inventory. So from inventory and software tab, you can uninstall a specific application. And third one is under tools. So tools, software, you can use the recycle bin icon. And one thing to note here is that if it is an exe based application, you would have to make sure that you get the correct silent uninstallation command from the software vendor. So Desktop Center relies only on silent uninstallation. So you need the silent uninstallation command for this purpose. Or if it is an MSI file, Desktop Center will do it automatically for you. You do not need to worry about the command. So let's do a quick recap now. So this is with respect to troubleshooting system slowness. So for troubleshooting system slowness, you can view the task manager to check system processes that are running, or use services tab to view the services in the machine. So that is number one. Number two was event log view or analysis. So you can analyze them for any errors that are shown here, or if there are any frequent crashes. Then you can use the remote command prompt to remotely execute commands virtually from the web console and to check disk space. And then finally, you have disk cleanup that you can set up to take place based on your specific schedule. So next up, we're going to be having a look at how Desktop Central enables you to implement IT policies to monitor endpoint productivity in a work from home scenario. Desktop Central helps you with enabling IT policies in a remote work from home setup. And this is like 4 points that comes to mind for us. We have a specific document written with this in mind. You can access them using the link that is shown at the bottom of the page. And let's imagine John's organization has tasked them with generating daily reports that have information like user log on or log off time, power management reports that give a detailed system uptime and downtime, or let's say they want to meter a specific software application so that they can measure the amount of time spent on each application, and to monitor web activity based on a specific user to get insights on the websites that the user visits. Now let's go to the product now. So with respect to user logon reports and power management reports, that can be found under the reports section. So you go to reports, user logon reports. So over here, you have different options. So you can view user logon history based on computers. So this lists a completely detailed view about the logon history on a specific machine. So you can see here the login time and the last log off time. So this does not take into account any log. So let's say if the user does not shut down the machine or does not log off, they simply log the machine, that would not be logged over here. So they allow to log in and log off for an entry to be registered here. Next, power management report. So you can view a detailed system uptime report over here. So once you click on the detail tab, you can see when the system was powered on and when it was last shut down, and also when was the last contact time. So you can filter this based on specific domains or custom groups and specific date range and time. So let's say you want to schedule this on a weekly basis and have this email to you. You can go to scheduled reports and create a new report to select user logon reports and power management reports from here. You can select user logon history by computers and power management reports from here. So you can then set up the scheduler to set up weekly on a Saturday, and you can then specify the time and save it. I'm not going to save it here. I'm just letting you know. So then we talked about metering software applications. So this can be done from the inventory section. You go to inventory and software metering over here. So let's say I want to monitor Chrome in my environment. Chrome is forbidden. Only Firefox or IE is used in my environment, and I would like to know how many users use Chrome and how long do they browse on it. We'll create a new rule over here. I'll just modify this rule. So specify the rule name and specify the exe file name. So this is measured based on the exe file name. So you will have to make sure that the correct file name is specified over here. So once that is saved, this would be populated on a daily basis under the software metering summary tab. So for this to be metered, the application has to be opened and it also has to be closed. So if the user does not close an application within the day, there will be no entries present over here. So that is one thing that you'll have to notice over here. The application has to be opened and closed within a 24-hour period. So this can also be scheduled under reports. So you go to reports, inventory reports, and you can find software metering reports over here. So over here. So you can schedule this report as well. So these are some IT policies to monitor network productivity in a remote work from home setup. So now that we have discussed about the 4 scenarios that we had for today, let's go and have a look at the desktop central architecture and how all of these things panned out in the back end. Now, this is a simple diagram that represents the LAN architecture of Desktop Central. So Desktop Central, as I mentioned earlier, is a client-server model application and is an on-premise solution. You can have Desktop Central hosted in any one of the supported operating systems. And this architecture talks about how you can manage the local area networks. So you host the Desktop Central server, it authenticates to the Active Directory, and you're able to manage endpoints in your local environment. And when it comes to a wide area network or machines that connect over the internet or using a VPN, you can manage different remote locations from one single console. And they can connect either using a distribution server or connect directly to the Desktop Central server. And this would be using a secure gateway server, or if they're using a VPN, they will be tunneled directly to the internal network. So that would be a direct communication. So you will be able to manage all of your mobile devices using a secure gateway server too. So that is one of our mandatory components in case if you choose to manage mobile devices. For Desktop Central or just the desktops or laptops, it is an optional component, but in case you want to manage mobile devices, secure gateway is essential for you. Now, what happens if you have a closed network, a network which does not have connectivity to internet or very limited connectivity? Would you be able to manage a closed network using Desktop Central? That is supported, yes. You can, as you can see the diagram over here, and you can also use the link that is shown at the bottom of the screen to get an in-depth detailed description about this. So what this does is that the patches are downloaded using internet and stored locally, and the agents collected from the Desktop Central server. Desktop Central is also available in AWS Marketplace and Azure. So in case if you are looking to host Desktop Central in any one of the cloud server, you can use AWS or Azure for now. We are also working towards offering Desktop Central as a cloud solution. Actually, the slide was ready like 1 month back or something, so I do not have the slide over here. Desktop Central Cloud is actually up and running currently. So it has been released like last week. If you're interested in using the cloud version, you can access this using desktopcentral.manageengine.com. Now we talked about the client server architecture. Now, once the client is installed, the agent needs to be communicating to the Desktop Central server. So the Desktop Central can scale small as well as large networks using the 90-minute refresh policy. So what is the 90-minute refresh policy? Every agent communicates to the Desktop Central server once every 90 minutes. So irrespective of whether you manage 90 machines or 900 or even 9,000 machines, the 90 minutes will be divided between them, and each machine will be given a specific time to talk with the server. The server has the intelligence to assign a time for each client to talk with the server. This is to avoid network congestion or bandwidth related issues. So the 90-minute refresh policy is designed in such a way that the load to the server will be split evenly. And Desktop Central runs primarily on 2 ports, that is 8383, which is HTTPS, and 8027, which is the notification server that we talked about earlier. And this port is used for all on-demand activities like patches, deploying patches, configurations, remote control, etc. So apart from these 2 ports, there are other optional ports that you need to have open. The important ports are listed on the screen. So with respect to remote control, 8443 is crucial. And for file transfer over remote control, that would be 8031, and this has to be open in UDP. And you can also access the link shown at the bottom of the screen or a list of detailed ports and the respective functionalities. So now that we have completed the architecture, let's move on to some real-time scenarios and solutions. So yeah, before we proceed, now there can also be a question about security. How secure is remote control? And I would like to confirm that we are HIPAA compliant as well as PCI compliant. So yeah, let's move on ahead. So the first scenario that we discussed today is how do I measure the time spent by technicians or handling tickets related to Desktop Central? So this question usually comes up in case if you have a service desk plus or help desk tool, you can always go to the specific ticket and we will post the details about how much time a specific user was using it. So this is logged under history tab under remote control, and this will also be logged in your help desk tool as well. So the second scenario, we would like to monitor the activities of the students in our school without their knowledge. Is this possible? Yes, this is possible. You can go into settings and you can uncheck the notify end user option. So you go to tools and you go to remote control over here, and under settings, you uncheck this option. Sorry about that. Yeah. Now let's go back. They are a healthcare company that needs to be compliant with certain regulations such as HIPAA. Yes, there is something that I've already discussed about. So you are HIPAA compliant and you're HIPAA compliant ready if you are using Desktop Central tools. Let's say installing and configuration IIS on a remote machine is complex. So I want to document the process and I would like to use this as a training material for future. Is this possible? Yes, if you want to document any steps, you can enable screen recording. So you go to tools and you go to screen recording. So once it is enabled over here, all remote sessions will have the screen recorded. So let's say you enable this while in the middle of a remote session. In that case, it will not work. So you will have to enable this first and then hop on the remote session. Only then the session will get recorded. Now, I find my remote sessions are slow when I am in a different country or when I'm managing roaming users. So how do I fix this? So the first thing is to define the performance under the performance tab. So you go to the performance tab over here and you set the compression ratio, fast, and color quality to low. So that would help you in case that there are bandwidth issues with respect to remote control. One of the users suspects an unauthorized remote access to his machine and has raised it to the IT manager. So would there be any way to audit this remote connection to the specific machine? So there are two places that you can check for this specific case. So one is under tools, that is remote control and history tab. This lists a complete history of all remote sessions that have taken place. The other spot would be under admin and action log view. Sorry. Yeah. Over here, you can filter this based on remote control. And you can set a time frame over here. And this is the entry. So you can see all actions that have taken place within the remote control page. So if you enable or disable any option, all of those will be logged within this specific page. Now I have a few servers hosted in no man's land. Our company policy demands to get user approval before remote sessions. How would I handle this? So this is a tricky scenario. So let's say you have enabled users approval, but since there are no users present in this environment, you would have to bypass it. So you can go over here to tools, remote control, and there are two options over here. One is you can set a timeout over here. So it would wait for 30 seconds with the message being listed. And once the user, if a user does not respond, it will go straight ahead to the remote session. And you also have the option to exclude specific computers over here. So you can add the computers and these machines would not be receiving the notification. So let's say you want to exclude your CEO or you want to exclude a specific higher level personnel with respect to remote control or user confirmation, you can do it right from here. So that is with respect to the real-time scenarios and solutions. Now let's have a look at some of the frequently asked questions with respect to Desktop Central. So the first one is, I'm running Desktop Central, the mobile app on my mobile phone. Can I initiate remote control directly via the app? Yes, so Desktop Central comes with a mobile application. So in case you did not know it, you can download it from this page. You can go to admin and the mobile app over here. So you can scan the QR code and download it, or you can also directly download it from the Google Play Store or the iOS Store. So once you download it, you will have to configure the app using the server name and the port. So you need to make sure that you use the public FTDN or the mobile device has to be connected to the local network. So once that is completed, you would get a interface that is similar to this page. So you can go to tools and initiate a remote control right from the mobile app as well. So it looks very similar to that of what you do in the desktop or a server machine. And you can also use hand gestures when connected using the mobile app. So this screen displays the interface from the mobile app over here. So you can also use other remote control or remote management functionalities like shutting down the machine, rebooting them. This is also supported from the mobile app. Now the second question is, if screen recording has to be turned on before establishing a remote control session, or it can be turned on midway during the session. So this is something that I already answered. So you would have to enable screen recording first, and then the session would have to be taking place. Else, the subsequent session would only be recorded and not the session that is currently ongoing. To allow multiple techs to work on a same remote connection that requires additional license from ManageEngine. No, there is no additional licensing or cost that incurs when you are using this feature. So all you need to make sure that you have adequate number of users. So anything more than one, if you have multiple users, that would qualify you to use this feature. Now will remote control automatically reconnect to the session? So after rebooting a machine, let's say you install application. This is something that I already touched upon as well. So once the machine is shut down, the agent will automatically try to reconnect to the ongoing session. So long as you do not close the session, you should be fine. So my remote control screen shows port 8443 is blocked. So how would I go about resolving this? The best way is to add an exclusion in your antivirus and also to add an entry to allow connections, inbound connections to port 8443 over HTTPS or SSL, as well as UDP. Oftentimes, the issues that we receive are related to connectivity. If you have any issues related to this, please feel free to write back to us using our support email or the chat session, and one of our technicians will be helping you right away. So is it possible to take remote control of a roaming user? Yes, you absolutely have control in this case. If you have exposed the desktop central server to the internet, or if you are using the secure gateway server, you need to just ensure that the end user is able to communicate with the desktop central server, and you should be good to go. So does the wake on LAN feature needs to open ports in the routers in order to send wake on LAN commands? So yes, we have a specific document that details all the required prerequisites. So you can refer that. So you can also write to the chat support team. If you need the document to you, they'll be helping you right away. But yes, Desktop Central and Desktop Central's wake on LAN feature uses magic packets. So magic packets have to be enabled in your routers, and you need to make sure that at least one machine is currently online in the target subnet. So I want remote connections to automatically disconnect if the technician is idle for over 10 minutes. How would I do this? So this can be done from within the settings tab. You have the option to configure idle session settings. So you go to tools and remote control settings over here. And you can configure idle session settings over here. So let's say 10 minutes. So if there have been no action over the period of 10 minutes, the session would automatically terminate. Our company wants to employ stringent privacy policies that limit technicians or admins from accessing end user files or folders. So this once again comes back to file or folder management. So that is system manager. You can go to admin and system manager settings, and you can revoke this option for all users. So over here, you can disable this option and save the page. Now, yeah, thanks for your time, guys. And that is all with respect to today's training. And in case if you are looking to get only the remote control functionality or remote management functionalities of Desktop Central, excluding the features like patch management, software deployment, or asset management. We have a product called Remote Access Plus that targets that specific audience. So yes, we have it as an on-premise solution or also a cloud-based solution. So you can give it a try using the link that is shown over here. So you can access this for more information. And thanks for your time over the remote session. So please feel free to rate us on a scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is the best. And please do spread the word as well. So we are organizing multiple trainings, upcoming trainings, and we'll also be continuing this over the year. So once again, thank you guys. The next training schedule is about configurations and hidden tricks within Desktop Central. So you can join us on the following timestamps that is shown on the screen. We will be happy to provide more information about that. If you would like to have a personalized demo to view the different functionalities of Desktop Central, and if you have queries that you feel will be better addressed over a one-on-one session, you can leave a demo request on the link that is shown at the bottom of the screen, or even on the chat window. So we would be glad to help you further over this. Thank you guys once again, and have a wonderful day ahead, and hope you all stay safe out there. Bye guys.